Good morning and welcome to Victoria's House, our beautiful community here in the city of San Francisco. We would like to welcome our distinguished guests, Mayor London Breed, supervisors, and Department of Public Health. Thank you for joining us all. Victoria's House, an adult residential community, is a supportive environment for clients that need assistance in dealing with their mental health and coping skills. We offer an innovative process that delivers therapeutic services, life skills, and social programming while supporting daily living, medication management, meals, and housing. Our all-inclusive on-site services provide a comprehensive step-down solution from acute setting for clients to become self-sufficient in this beautiful city of San Francisco. When they re-enter the outer community, our community can be a temporary solution or a client's forever home. I'm often asked why we named this community Victoria's House. A few years ago, I met a client named Victoria who was transitioning at that time. She identified as a woman most of her life and was unfortunately mistreated by the system. Her decision maker didn't understand and personally didn't approve of her transition and wouldn't allow her care to continue. Outdated community care licensing regulations housed her with a male roommate. When I sat down and listened to her story, I learned how the system had failed her. I said that there will never be again such a tragic situation, and we're going to provide a community where everybody's going to be welcomed and treated with dignity and respect. Our team is proud to be providing residential care and supportive services in to San Francisco residents. We would like to especially thank Mayor London Breed for her great leadership. Thank you. As well as all the support that she has provided not only to our project, but all the new mental health services that are being provided for residents in San Francisco. Also, a big thank you to Governor Newsom for recognizing the need to help people of California with mental illness and providing the funding that is so much needed. And right now, I would like to introduce JC, my co-founder and partner in this project. Oh, John. I'm sorry, I would like to introduce John, then JC. My first man.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. I've had a chance to reflect on our journey from the day we saw this property on LoopNet and it took our first tour to standing here today with this beautiful facility. We absolutely would not be here today if the Board of Supervisors didn't pass the interim controls and eventually legislation which protected board and care facilities. These protections made it difficult or impossible for a developer to purchase a board and care facility and change the use to something else. This legislation was introduced by Supervisor Mandelman, who is here today, and Supervisor Ronan. Mental health and homeless issues are properly at the top of their priority list. Without these protections, we would be standing next to 2 single-family homes or market-rate condos or apartments instead of 46 rehabilitation beds for our city's most vulnerable residents. We also wouldn't be here today without the leadership of Mayor Breed, who is willing to tackle the big issues, including her declaration of emergency in the Tenderloin and the city's funding of mental health and homeless initiatives. Although it never seems you can do enough for this complicated issue, you've got a tough job. And the mayor's office was very helpful to us in getting this over the finish line. I spoke to Governor Newsom in person about 10 days ago. We talked about the 225-bed facility we opened in San Pablo in January of 2021, this 46-bed facility here, and the 150-bed facility we will be opening next in Southern California. I thanked him for his proposal of the care courts and the amount of state funding being directed to mental health and homeless issues. However, ultimately, for most of these efforts to be successful, we need more rehabilitation beds like the ones we are opening up today in the continuum of care. Beds like these allow SF General, IMDs, and other more acute settings to open up beds so that we can get more people off of the streets and into care. Also, the social rehabilitation model we strive to provide would be an excellent stop for a person who is headed to, but is not yet ready for, permanent supportive housing. This is where private-public partnerships can make a positive change. We look forward to our continued work with DPH, the Conservative's office, the Mayor's office, and the state of California to help make the lives of our residents better. Thank you.
Thank you, John and Betty. Thank you, Mayor Breed and Supervisor Mandelman. Just a little bit of additional background. We're very excited to be providing these 46 beds, this 46-bed facility with the services that John and Betty have referred to. We acquired this property a little over 2 years ago in January of 2020, right before the pandemic. It was a derelict, long neglected former boarding care that had been vacant for about 3 years before we bought it. As John mentioned, the likely alternative was going to be condos or high-end housing. But we saw the potential to rehabilitate it into a high-quality facility for some of San Francisco's most vulnerable residents. The challenge was to preserve the building's historical Victorian quality while essentially delivering a brand new facility inside. I want to thank the hard work of our in-house team, our design partners at Open Scope, in particular Mark, Ian, Jared, and Danny, who are here, our construction partners at ITU, and Fremont Bank's financial support as our lender. Importantly, they stepped up to provide the construction loan in those early months of the pandemic when many banks had withdrawn from the market. And I'm happy to report that we have a DSS license in hand, and as of yesterday, our final certificate of occupancy. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Betty?
Thank you, and we would like to welcome Mayor London Breed, please.
There are a lot of folks who know that I was born and raised in San Francisco and my grandmother raised me. But what most people don't know is that I grew up in the household with my grandmother's daughter who had a developmentally disability and constantly struggled. So when my grandmother developed dementia and someone needed to care for my aunt, it was really challenging dealing with the system. Fortunately for my aunt, she had family. She had people that supported her because, trust me, had she not had us looking out for her, she would probably be on the streets. She would not be able to take care of herself. And in fact, what I appreciate most about the work that we're doing now is it provides an opportunity for us to support a community that may not have relatives or support to help assist them with being able to live a productive life. I appreciate so many of the great organizations here in San Francisco that I've worked with over the years, but also we know it takes a village. When I became a member of the Board of Supervisors, we had a number of these individuals in our community. In fact, there was a gentleman who I was very familiar with his family, and they watched their father decline significantly to the point where they struggled. And I tried to assist them in getting a bit of conservatorship for their family member. It was a long, drawn-out process. It was a real struggle. Sadly, it didn't happen, and unfortunately, their father passed away, and he died on the streets alone. This should not happen in a place like San Francisco, and I know that there are a lot of people who believe in, just people having the rights to decide what they want to do with their lives. But this is really complicated. There are people who can't necessarily, and I'll tell you from experience with my aunt, can't necessarily even decide how to pay her rent and to figure out some of the basic things about the things that she needs to buy. I would send her to the store to go pick up things, yes, but then she would spend the money on things that she wasn't supposed to. And it was a constant struggle with trying to take care of her and maintain her health. It is so much more complicated. So when I became mayor, it was very important to me that we look at mental health and we start to talk about it like we do any other challenge. And we look at our portfolio, our behavioral health beds, because what will happen is someone in the past, before the street crisis response team, someone would get a 911 call. There was someone maybe going in and out of traffic. They're taking the general, and then they're released and walking around with no help, with no support, and people are wondering, what are we doing wrong? Why aren't we transitioning people to a place that can get them stable so that they can live a productive, thriving life like anyone else? So we have added more beds. In fact, we reached about 2,200 beds in 2019 and made a commitment to add 400 more behavioral health beds in our portfolio, a 20% increase, because we identified what the challenges are, what the needs are, and how we can provide these opportunities for people who are struggling. So we appreciate so much partners like ANA Health Services, because we can't do this work alone. We need partners. We need people who are going to basically make this place a home, so that when someone who is maybe provided services through our street crisis response team, they end up at General, they may end up at Hummingbird right away, but what's next? And this is next. This gives stability. This gives support to people who need support. And it helps to map out what the next stage is. Is it programs like Golden Gate Regional? Is it programs like the ARC? Is it programs that help for them to sustain their lives with dignity? So I appreciate being here. In fact, this is one of the most beautiful behavioral health homes I've seen in San Francisco. So I know that the people here are going to appreciate that. And they're going to appreciate also not only where they live and how beautiful it is, but that they're treated with respect, that they're able to maintain their dignity so that we can help get them to that next level. So this, along with so many of the other great things that we are trying to do in San Francisco, are truly going to be a game changer. So again, we thank you all so much for being here. We especially thank ANA Health Services and the Department of Public Health and our behavioral health team for all the work that they have done and will continue to do to make sure that we're not leaving people out on the streets in crisis, and we're giving them the care and the support that they need. Thank you so much.
Next, we would like to welcome Dr. Colfax from Department of Public Health, please.
Well, good morning, and thank you, everybody. I have to say, when I was driving here and parking on the street, I thought, well, I'm not sure where the building is, but it looks like the realtors have an open house. Because this is just such a beautiful spot and in such an incredible environment, and we know from the science that the environment, the physical environment in which people live during their journey of healing on the path to recovery really makes an incredible difference. So just really want to thank our partners who helped spearhead this project. Mayor Breed, thank you for your leadership, and Supervisor Mandelman, thank you also for being here with us today. And I really want to thank, of course, ANA Health Services. This was something somewhat different for the health department to do, and I think that this partnership really is very promising for more working together with you and others in private partnerships in the future. And I really want to thank the DPH behavioral health team. Many of them are in the back here. Luis Caldron, thank you so much for your leadership and work in this. And of course, our behavioral health director, Dr. Hillary Cunnins, is also here today. So, these 46 new beds will greatly increase our capacity to provide ongoing medical treatment for mental health and substance use disorders for people throughout the city. And as the mayor has already mentioned, we are making significant progress in the commitment to adding 400 new beds to our system in San Francisco. And with this new addition, we are 2/3 of the way there. And in fact, we obviously got delayed a little bit by the pandemic, but in 2021, we added 89 new beds alone, and we anticipate adding additional 90 new beds online soon, with 70 new beds this month alone in August of 2022. So great progress there. This is an innovative model of care. So not only an innovative way of figuring out how to get this done on the ground and the physical space built, but the model of care is also innovative. And it's this type of state-of-the-art facility that allows us to meet people where they are, but also come up with new ways in addressing the challenges that so many people have, again, on their journey to recovery. This is a part a very important part of the system that we are building, the system of behavioral health care, from meeting the acute needs of people to, again, stabilizing them, to the journey to independent living, and then also having the resources available for people. This is a chronic, often relapsing condition, so having the resources available to meet people where they are, treatment on demand, ensuring that people get what they need when they need it, and that it's the appropriate, not only the appropriate level, but it's also the appropriate environment. And this environment here today is just so exciting for us to see. 46 more beds. I'm so thrilled. Thank you again for having us here today. Thank you again for this partnership. And with that, I'll turn it over to Supervisor Mandelman. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Colfax, and to all the folks on your team at the Department of Public Health. Thank you for all your work every day. Thank you, Madam Mayor, for your commitment to getting folks indoors, and particularly folks with serious behavioral health needs and addictions. The mayor's reference point is her sister. Mine is my mother. For much of the second half of her life, she struggled with severe mental illness. She had electroshock therapy and every treatment known to humanity, and never really stabilized. She needed to be in places like this for much of that time. And I fear that if she had been in San Francisco in 2022, she might not have been in one of these places, and she might well have been out on the sidewalk. So it's personal for a lot of us. And I know, once you start having these conversations with people, this is not an unusual experience. I know that some of the folks who are involved with ANA have personal experience, and that's what motivates and drives them. I think it's a critical need, and it is San Francisco's critical need today. So the background. We've lost 500 board and care beds over the last decade, something like 50 facilities. The market has not been helping us. And at the same time, we have such tremendous human needs out there, and really fundamentally we need better responses on the street, but we need appropriate places for people to land when we engage with them on the street. We want more of those engagements to lead to coming off of the sidewalk and indoors, and we can't do that without facilities like this. So I'm pretty optimistic. This is a great morning. I'm very optimistic about San Francisco, and I do want to thank JC and John and Betty for having the vision, and for I love our nonprofit partners, and they are critical to us, and we need all hands on deck. And so having a player that's interested in figuring out whether they can move from the elder care space into this space and take care of some of these non-elderly adults who just really need help is really exciting. And it was a joy to tour your San Pablo facility, and it's been a joy to try and help in the little legislative ways that we can. And I hope this works well, and I hope you're down for doing many, many more. So thanks, everybody.
Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And we're